Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Happy Head podcast. If you don't know by now, my name is Paul and I'm your host. And today I am with the amazing Gennye Lion. Good afternoon, Gennye. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me here, Paul.
My pleasure. So tell me, what's your story, Gennye? What we're going to be talking about today?
Yeah. Oh, which one should we pick?
The best one, obviously.
The best one. Okay. I suppose my story, if you want to call it as in how I started out from nothing, I would say the story of being spiritually empowered and energetically empowered, really, to do my dream, really. As a younger person, I didn't have the confidence to do this, or I didn't think people would listen to me, or what did I have to bring to the table. So yeah, now that never really enters my mind. So it's like it's going from that place to being completely empowered and limitless, if you like, or feel unstoppable in a way. I have moments, but I can sort that out quite quickly.
So what was the catalyst? What kicked it off from going from someone that wasn't confident to the person that you are today?
So I had a spiritual awakening when I was 23. At that time, I had been doing a lot of searching anyway. When I was about 15, I was diving really deep into astrology and esoteric studies. And I found all of that so, really interesting. And I just loved doing all that. So although it didn't happen until I was 23, my whole sort of younger years as a teenager, this followed me. I was very interested in all these things. So I had this spiritual awakening at age 23, and it led up to, I had been doing a lot of meditations. I had been doing a lot of experiment, if you like, with that, because I had no teacher or anything. I was just following books and things. And it was one night where I left my body, basically. I had an out-of-body experience. And I came back into my body, and I was like, okay, what happened? It was really, I was like very clear. I was out of my body, I'd left it and come back in. And so at the time, I had then, in my dream, if you like, gone to see my mum and dad and saying to them that it's okay, everything is fine, but the journey of me is going to be very different from now on. So just like hold on tight. I'm not dead, but I'm going to be very different. And they were like, okay. This was all in the dream or in the out of body. And then after that, I had 2 years of really intense integration, I would maybe even call it. I moved countries, so I'm Swedish originally. I didn't know what had happened. I felt very not familiar to anything anymore. Everything seemed really disconnected to me. People that I loved, I felt distant to. It was very, very, some people call it dark night of the soul as well, because you go into sort of some sort of depression almost. But so I moved countries. I came to England. I studied astrology for a year to the Faculty of Astrology in London, and I just dived into all these things again. And that was really how it started. And I knew something had happened. I felt really focused on my spiritual growth. I mean, I went up to Neal's Yard, and in that place where in London where you have all those different shops and things, and crystals and cards and like all that full on. And that was it really. And since then, it, it leveled out a bit, but I've been on the journey since. So, but at the time then, I had no idea. I was a marketing. I'd finished marketing in university. I had travelled. I had no other healing education or anything like that. So to me, it was just exploring, and never really thought I was able, to do what I do So the spiritual disempowerment of not thinking that I was good enough to do that.
So
But
how did this spiritual awakening help you through some of the difficult periods that you've been through in your life? Because you mentioned that in the kind of the email exchange that we had.
So I believe that at that time when that happened, it felt like the only person that could sort this out was me. So it's almost like there was this self-insight that it was a strength almost that I found that I hadn't found before. That I found some sort of light that I knew that I would never, what's the word? I'd never fail.
Mm-hmm.
As in, I have all the power inside of me to do exactly what I want to do. That changed. But then I had no real format for that. Do you know what I mean? So I was still learning and doing things. But I knew I was always all right. I would always be okay, no matter what. And that is, a really strong. I think it's feeling strong, isn't it? But without really knowing how that is going to look like. And it's since then. Yeah, I always, in the darkest times, I had a really when my son was born, I was 40 at age 40. I had another upgrade on my soul similar to this, and having a new baby and the trauma of surgery I had and all those things at the same time. Even that, when I was in my darkest, moments there for the year that was to come, I still knew that I'd be all right. But it was, that, and that's what I captured that first time around. I always knew I'd be all right. But it was, it's still quite hard.
You mentioned an upgrade. What
Yeah.
was that? What happened? And
So from a technical, like spiritual concept, if you like, many people alive have spiritual upgrades. They have different types of upgrades. There's different soul upgrades. You can have activations of your mission. All sorts of things can actually happen. The particular one that I had was called a reincarnation in the same body, where the soul leaves, and it did when I was 23. So that's what I had when I was 23. But I found that out later on, when I found my teachers and other people knowing more than I do. I had a reincarnation in the same body. I had another one at age 40. The reason the soul chooses to have this, because actually it's already decided, is to have the mission become stronger, or not just spiritual awakening, but of spiritual leadership. So every time, for example, have you heard of walk-ins?
Who, sorry?
A walk-in. Like there's another, so that's another spiritual upgrade where a person, the soul that came with that body and that life, leaves for good. Right. That's it, done. The new soul comes in. So that person feels very disjointed with their life because the soul doesn't recognize what it's doing. But the personality is still there and the person is there. So although that's different from the one I had, the purpose of that is to have such a strong mission of spiritual character, if you like, and leadership to help this world change. That is really the only reason. So they can be very intense.
I don't think I've had a spiritual awakening, as you mentioned. Does everybody have them, or does only a few people have them? Do we have them but not notice we're having them?
Yeah. I mean, not everyone has them. Some people are more on a gentle spiritual journey, so they will, slowly awaken, if you like. They'll get bite-sized chunks of new information, of new insights, of new consciousness level happening for them. So that it's like a more gentle opening to higher consciousness. Some people have things like what I've had, often star seeds. So those are the humans, those are souls coming to contribute in the ascension, clearing the great awakening that we're right in the middle of. The whole purpose of them is to come for that. So the star seeds often have those intense ones. You can still be just an earthling with a good heart and a good intention and a mission who wants to contribute and be in service to the world. And that means that your awakening could be, you could have like some visitors, like my husband, for example. He had ETs coming through the headphones when he was doing this high-pitched, that high hertz frequency meditation. Beautiful for the brain, like really good. And he had some visitors talking to him in his ET language, and for some reason he understood what they said, although they didn't speak English. And he had this transmission, and he was like, oh my God, I know exactly what's happened. And he had this kind of awakening around that, yes, there is other life out there that can come in through transmissions, but he had to almost experience that to understand and believe it. So he believed.
So I'm guessing that's the thing for people like me, is that I have a hard time understanding when we talk about things like having ET come and talk to you, because it seems really crazy. It seems really bizarre. Yeah. Are you talking about binaural beats that your husband was having when he was?
Yeah, so he was listening to something called holosync.
Yeah, holosync.
Yeah, which is an amazing. I listened to it as well. It's amazing for the alpha and beta brain waves and the balancing of the right and the left brain. It's like incredible for the consciousness, So that was what he was doing, and he had this ET consciousness coming in and he couldn't move his body. That was the thing. He was like on the table, completely could not move. He was trying to call my name, and he could not call my name. They wanted him to experience this kind of upgrade. So he did have a type of a spiritual awakening, a type of upgrade, where he actually felt that his body was surged with a power that was outside of himself. So although it wasn't like, oh, I've had a spiritual awakening, I've traveled around Mars, it was more like, oh my goodness, what's happening to my body? I can really feel the sensations and everything through it. And so for him, it was you could really feel it. Sometimes we call that a descension. Means that the light is coming down through us and activated dormant parts of our DNA that we didn't have activated before. So there's lots of different. So yeah, I think people have it all the time. You can go on a trek to the Himalayas and sit on a mountain, and you can have some sort of, upgrade and spiritual connection with the world and all that is. So there's lots and lots of different, I think people have it often, but they don't maybe know. They didn't realize.
Yeah. What is the point of that, if you think about it? I mean, okay, you've had yours, you've had at least two, and you've recognized them, and you've been able to kind of utilize them in your life. What is the kind of point in somebody having I can't think of a better phrase, a low grade spiritual awakening?
Maybe gentle.
A gentle one, and then not noticing it.
The idea for them, the idea of it is to raise in consciousness and open up the ceiling to higher consciousness, to understand that there is more beyond what we can see, and connecting telepathically, intuitively, travel in your consciousness to other places. Shamanic work is very much like that. So really the ultimate idea of any type of awakening is to raise in consciousness, to see through the veil of everything, see the truth of what is happening, feel the truth in the body, have no hesitation, have no fear. Like, so all the layers of the ego patterning is, sort of fading away. And then you're becoming more like a walking, talking version of your soul, which is a very different place to be than to be in the if I'm being very polarity here now, suffering human being.
Okay.
Can you see what I'm saying? Because you could be so defeated by your ego and your mind, your monkey mind, and all those things that makes us feel small and limited, which is just an illusion. It's not real.
Right. And I remember what I was going to say now. I get that.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. You talk about learning the truth. When you say that, do you mean the truth about who we are, what our mission is, or whatever? Yeah.
The truth about everything, really. Because, look, so this is the way I look at it at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
All the chaos that is going on in the world right now, and all the truths that are coming up, and everything that we've been brought to believe and brought up to believe all our life, lots of it is crumbling apart. We've been faced with where we've been lied to, and lots of truths and things are coming up through this kind of detox that the world is going through. And because it's so confusing and it's so much information out there, and people go in the rabbit hole. I mean, I'm in the rabbit hole most of the time, as in, but if I want information, I go in the rabbit hole. Ultimately, with that, it is very confusing. So for the person who is kind of, I'm not saying asleep, but kind of not fully aware of their spirit, of their spiritual gifts or their spiritual self, and have just been programmed into this matrix, because that's what it is. It really is like the matrix of the film. When everything comes to surface, like there's confusion, isn't it? It's like, oh my God, is that the truth? Is that the truth? What's the truth? That's the truth. Like this. Actually, what we are asked to do is to turn all that off, go inside, awaken ourselves spiritually, connect to universal truth, because there is a library of truth, if you like, that we can all access, which is the universal truth. And if we access that, we will get the truth. And that is our truth. But if we listen to all other people and all the, the nonsense and all the everything, I mean, I'm not going to go into it. Everyone knows what's going on. It is very overwhelming. It's very confusing, and it's very disempowering. And actually, it's taking away our choices of being sovereign and of being in our truth, because we're too distracted. It's designed to distract us, to not wake up. So we need to push all that away and make our individual journey, spiritual awakening, dive into what feels good for you, whether that is books, podcasts like this, following video series like Awakening, whatever. Take a healing course, do something, clear yourself of your own programs. And that is the path. That is actually the path of happiness. Because then you'll find who you are, and you'll find your truth, and you will be immune to all the nonsense, because you know who you are. Nothing can touch you.
Are you talking about kind of being there's a book I read called The Untethered Soul. Are you talking about being the observer of yourself? Because like you say, all the stuff that's going on inside your head, a lot of it is just nonsense that runs across the screen, as it were.
Oh God, yeah.
What we have to do is kind of take a step back and just observe
yeah.
who we really are. Is that the kind of thing you talk about when you talk about like finding your truth and all this?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, for me personally, this sounds, maybe, I don't want to sound like arrogant or anything. I very rarely get that because I have cleared my mind with my multidimensional tools, so my ego doesn't get in the way.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are battling with that. It's that, fuss in their head, and oh no, and it feels like it's all going over and over, and it's like, it's very draining. That is often just your mental body. So you have in your energy field, in your aura, you have mental body, you have etheric body, you have your spiritual body, you have the different bodies. Your mental body is out of balance, and your emotional body. So by clearing those and balancing those, you're then connecting with your heart and your soul, and you don't feel it. It's like it's not there. You are clear, you're coherent, you don't listen to anything, it's all good. Those, no psychology, no counseling, no things like that can help that. Only energy work fix that. So that's why you don't get anywhere in therapy most of the time, because it's not touching on the energy.
Right. Okay. So listen, how does someone do that? What you just mentioned, get rid of all the nonsense in our head, shall we say, if they've not had any kind, or not been aware of any kind of spiritual awakening like the nature that you've had?
So I feel that people that are ready to have energy work will just find it. They will find, they will listen to this podcast and they go, oh, there's something about that woman. I want to know what she can do. So I give some things away free as well, which is energy clearings that people can try. They will just find that because they're meant to find that, they're ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
If they have had no spiritual awakening, they may just feel like they're looking for something, and they keep looking and they keep looking, and then they just kind of find something and they go, oh, that feels really good, I'm going to do that. And it's almost like they're just following some sort of feeling, as opposed to mentally trying to work it out.
Yeah.
They're just feeling it. So I would say that just follow what feels good and go with that. But so let's just make this clear. So when I was saying that earlier about how some stuff doesn't work and some stuff work, is because just talking and involving the mind and just kind of like expressing how you feel, well, that's a good way. That's obviously a good way to start, but that is not going to resolve the imbalances in your energy. And unless the imbalances in your energy is resolved and in balance, and you have the tools to do it, to continue doing it, you may fall back in that pattern. But then also in the subconscious mind, you will have negative beliefs that you have obtained since a baby. It goes into the bank of the subconscious mind, which is determining your reality. So the subconscious mind, you know about this if you do this podcast. Yeah. So then the subconscious mind is then determining your reality. And unfortunately, it determines 95% of our reality, and 5% is the conscious mind. So any type of like, I know that hypnosis and things like that helps with the subconscious mind. So that's why people find it easier to stop smoking and things like that, often when they've had hypnosis or something. But you have different therapies that will go in the subconscious mind, and that will help. But then you also got to clear your energy so that your fields are clear and that you're grounded, so that you're led by the coherence of the heart, I suppose, and the soul, as opposed to your mind being like out here, because that's never going to give you rest and peace. It will just feels like it's going to explode. So it's about bringing it here, heart.
Okay. How does energy clearing actually work? What's the process that someone goes through to get that done, to feel that it's being done?
Okay, so I know other tools apart from my own, so I'm just going to explain a little difference on them.
Sure.
So you have things like Reiki,
yeah,
which is very known to people. That is universal light coming through the practitioner's hands that is magnified almost, yeah? Comes through, you put the hands like over the body or wherever, and it has a bright sort of flush of light just flashing into your system, which will help you with the vibration and lift things. Now, Reiki does not address the emotional trauma behind an issue in the body. It would simply flush it, which is a nice thing. It's like a good thing to have in between deep work. It's almost like having a nice spa, you know.
Yeah.
Then so I'm not the only person who does multidimensional energy clearings in the world. There's lots of people. What happens with the multidimensional work is that we don't just work on the aura and the energy bodies, as I was just saying. We work with the chakras and the inside of your body as well, so like organs and the blood and the cells. We work also on the DNA, so we can change the DNA to how we want it, magically, with magic. And then we work multidimensionally, meaning that we access past lives, future lives, other universes, other parallel realities, if needed, to fix the issue. Which means that you don't have to revisit, because you have actually tackled it anywhere it could possibly come from. So when people do hypnotherapy or RTT as response therapy, other things that are very helpful, that it's only here in this, right here in this dimension, here in this life. Unless they go back into the past life and clear it there, it's not cleared there. So
is the work that you do actual physical hands-on work, or is it different?
It is and it isn't. Like if somebody was here in the room with me, I will obviously be close to them and I could work with them. If I do it over Zoom like this, I just do it over Zoom. It doesn't really matter. They could be anywhere. I don't have to touch them, no. Because energy is infinite. It's everywhere. Like I can access it anywhere, really. But yes, I wanted to say how people can get access. I know that you're probably going to say in the end, but I do give away a bioenergy clearing, which does that clearing of the energy field and get rid of the monkey, the monkey mind in less than an hour.
Wow.
It's free. So you've got the links, I think, anyway. So when people
not yet, but we'll sort that out afterwards.
So that later, yeah. And it is mind-boggling. People, I just got another message of this woman. She said, "I can't believe it. I was just crying, and everything was releasing. I feel so empowered and so clear. I have not felt like this for years." So it is very strong, and very good.
You mentioned earlier in the conversation about receiving some kind of spiritual leadership skills, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah.
How does that help you in your own life and when you're working with clients?
So, okay. So when I work with clients, I am really led by their higher consciousness and mine, because it's a decision that we made together. It's or they've made the decision to come. So it's almost like I'm personally not attached to that. I'm just being led by higher consciousness what to do with them. I follow my intuition all the time. I act on intuition. So if I feel something, I'm like, yeah, that's right. And then I act on it. So I suppose I am flowing with what's coming in, and it may change direction as we go, but it's for their highest and best good, always. So my mind doesn't get into way. I don't follow a system as in, oh, it has to be this order, it has to be this way, it has to be this way, because only spirit knows what is the best way. It's beyond my intelligence, right?
Okay.
So I'm allowing higher consciousness to come through me to lead the way.
So you're kind of like a conduit, yeah?
Yeah, well, you know,
Okay.
I'm just following what is for the best, highest, best good for them, always. And I suppose it becomes more. It just becomes more fluid, but it also becomes more beneficial for them because they're always going to get what's best for them, and I'm not attached to it. It's their growth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
yeah, it helps me with the kids. I can tune in. So, because I'm psychic, I can just tune in and know what's wrong with the kids.
that's a distinct advantage, especially right now with all this homeschooling that's going on.
And with my husband, I can go, do you feel this way? By any chance? Oh, yeah, that's what it is. I'm like, just thought I'd share that. And he's like, oh, thank you. You're always right.
I just completely lost my train of thought now, Gennye. I was going to say I had a...
No, the kids in this world, you were saying about the kids.
No, it was before that, because you said about you able to kind of stay in contact with your kids. It'll come back to me. Let me just... Wow. That's what I was going to ask you. Mindset things, mindset stuff. Would I be right in assuming that because you've cleared out the negative stuff and you don't have the monkey mind and you are an observer in your own mind, that you don't have any kind of mindset issues as such? No,
I don't. That's awful, isn't it?
No. That's why I asked the question, because that's what I thought you were going to say.
I have moments where I'm like, okay, this is coming up, and then I'm observing. So I'm like, that's a pattern. Am I keeping myself small here? Am I doing this because the ego's getting the better of me? So I just observe it, and then I just ignore it. I'll not ignore it. I just work through it, and or just go, oh yeah, that's what it is. Okay, no problem. I need to say this though. What is really helpful, and this is for anyone who is in spirituality or not, when it comes to mindset, a clean diet and a clean health helps your mindset 1000%.
Oh yeah, I completely agree.
It's like, your mindset is like on fire when you go, it's good when you feel good. So if anyone feels a bit like this, have a detox. Go on a detox, clear your toxins out of your body, and it will clear your mind as well. So it's that totally.
What I mean, I know there's probably lots of different things, but what is the main kind of issue, challenge, problem, whatever phrase you want to use, that clients come and seek you out for? What's kind of the biggest thing that people come to you for?
Okay, so I think the common thread with the women, because most of it is women, is, so if you think of, so I have a membership where people come in, they want to get started. It's like a smaller investment. It's just, getting started with energy clearance and those things. And some teaching, there's lots of things in there. And then to the one-on-one clients will be, the highest investment. They all have the spiritual visibility issue, if that makes sense. So the ones that come in first in membership, they'd be like, oh, I'd love to learn more about my spiritual powers, but I don't really know where to start and what to do. So I just say, well, go and indulge on the energy clearance, because you'll learn so much about yourself with the process with the Ascension Clearing Kit, which is inside. So off they go and do their thing. I kind of don't have to, it's a small investment. And then the ones that are in the higher investment, then will work one-on-one. They will have then the blocks coming up, about being seen, as a spiritual leader, or as coming in fully into their spiritual power, or coming into fully, really like unlock themselves. They'll have some fears there. So it's almost like it's the same, but they are just, they want to really get out there, those the one-on-one. So I'd say it's like the spiritual visibility and not maybe trusting those intuitive powers. But then I'm like, carry on doing the clearings, carry on doing your, working towards your vision, and keep going with it, because the more you just elevate and clear, the clearer you become, and the less you'll feel the imposter. That's another thing, imposter syndrome, like you said. Oh, everyone else is doing it. What about me? And you'll be less and less inclined to fall into that, because you'll feel clear and empowered and happy and confident. So, and then you're not worried so much about what other people are doing, because you're doing your thing.
Right. Okay. So what you're saying then, Gennye, is that people come to you for kind of a very specific reason. Is that they either want to become spiritual leaders themselves, or they want to kind of develop their spiritual skills, for want of a better phrase.
Yeah, exactly. So, for example, give some practical examples, maybe people understand. So some of the members in the membership, they are already healers or coaches or entrepreneurs, and they love the whole spiritual thing. They love meditation, they love listening to visualizations, they love all that. So they're indulging on that, and they can see how they feel good every day by doing the different practices. Then you have the one-on-one. They're more like, no, I want to unlock myself fully, and that's where the Lightbody Activations comes in. And they usually, but potentially, I have quite a few actually who's been in they've been in CEOs, or they might have been a corporate, or they might have worked in a leadership role before, but they're coming into their spiritual expansion, if you like, or awakening, and they're thinking, well, I'm so good at leading people, how can I lead them spiritually now?
Right.
So then I am helping them to trust in that and to unlock that. And then as well, I'd say, look, go and get a qualification in a couple of things, maybe spiritual empowerment coaching, or some healing, or other things, because they already have kind of qualifications to lead people. And so I would say then go off and do that. So yes, I would say people wanting to unlock their spiritual gifts fully. Yeah. And like, I have a channeling course that I'm doing in about a month, where I'm teaching people how to channel.
Okay, so stop. Can you explain what you mean by channeling? So I haven't got a clue. What is channeling?
Okay, so channeling. So I'm not going to go in very in detail.
No, just surface level, so I understand.
Channeling is a person who can connect with the supernatural. You could channel a deceased person. You could channel an animal who's actually talking to you, sitting right over there, and channel how they're feeling. You can channel your higher self, that the soul, that's what I come in, the multidimensional sort of channeling, where higher consciousness is coming through you, and you're speaking or doing whatever you need to do to help others, or so you basically opening up this is the crown here, so you're opening up your crown, you're opening up your auric field to transmission. So channeling can also be like a woman channeling a man. You'll be talking like this, like that's more like 3D channeling, I call it. But you can channel just feelings and thoughts and information coming from other civilizations, other planets, and everything.
So it's
very, very, so
in a nutshell, it's about opening lines of communication.
Yes, lines of communication, right, and however you need it for. Right. This specifically channeling course that I'm doing in a month I'm really sort of honing in on entrepreneurs, helping them to open up to more information really for them, so that they can bring their business forward following that information, instead of again trying to work it out with your head. So really opening up. And yeah, I mean, there's light language, there's all sorts of different things that can be channeled, but the idea is really to open up to knowledge and information that, yeah.
That makes it clear. I have a clearer understanding now.
Yeah.
Now, I think I know the answer to this question, but do you have any kind of major challenges with the work that you do?
What, with the clients or with myself?
Well, just in general, do you find it, this kind of the work that you do you find it hard to find clients? Do you have to spend, what's the kind of the biggest thing that you face into doing what you do? Do you get very tired after working with clients? Do you find that you
No, I'm okay, because I've set it up in a way so I don't have to do lots all the time.
Right. Okay.
However, that would be tiring if I was healing and working with somebody like we're talking now, but I was actually working with them, for several hours a week, like 20 or something. That would be far too much. Yeah, that would be challenging. But other challenges, I suppose, I don't look at it as a challenge. I suppose it's the education. So people, that's why I do this podcast, because then I can help other people understand what's available, and open their mind to things that is interesting. Well, for some it's very interesting, isn't it? So yeah, but that's not really a challenge. I find that more like that's a good thing, to get in there and try to sort of, help and support and spread more knowledge and share that.
Gotcha. You mentioned you're doing this channeling course in about a month's time. What's the best way for people to find out more about it?
I suppose just, are you going to drop the Facebook link or something, with the website?
Yeah, once we've finished, if you send me all the links, I can post them. But if you've got like a generic place where people can find you, then just
probably just my website would probably be easiest. So Gennye Lion, like my name is spelled, so Gennye Lion.love, and then there's a contact form there.
Oh, right. Okay, cool.
But you can also find me on Facebook, so you can send me a messenger. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, excellent.
That's probably the easiest way. Website or messenger, probably the easiest way. Yeah.
So before we finish, I've got a question that I kind of ask most people. Is there any aspects of your life that if you could go back and change it, A, would you, and B, why?
I could back and change anything. I would say maybe yes if I could think that now, but I believe that we're meant to have the experiences we are meant to have.
Mm-hmm.
If I could change something, maybe coming out of the spiritual closet a little bit earlier. So although I had all those experiences young, I was hiding that, because I thought I wasn't hiding it, but I kind of,
you weren't putting yourself out there in the world in that kind of way.
No, people be like, "Really? Do you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I had no idea. Maybe I would have done that maybe earlier, because that's But then it's fine now. It's okay. But yeah, there was times where I felt like I wanted to fit in.
Mm-hmm. So listen, Gennye.
Yeah, another program, isn't it?
Yeah. I know. Any final thoughts? Any last kind of words? Anything you want to say?
Yeah, I think so. Whoever you are listening right now, whether this is a lot of information or whether it's really good for you, what we've just talked about, my suggestion is to find, for each and one of you, to find yourself. Find yourself in meditation. Start doing some practices that connects yourself with yourself. Read some interesting books. Invest that in yourself. in the, you know, instead of watching the Netflix or something, binging, you know, invest in watching something educational every day, 30 minutes or instead. I mean, I think a lot of people do this, but listen to podcasts, download my energy clearing, try it. It's on the website as well, actually. You can get it from there. Try new things. So because you're here to grow in this way. Every single person, whether they're awake or not, they're actually here to spiritually grow. That is the whole point of the whole life.
I completely agree. You know, life is learning. We are here to learn
Yeah,
and grow. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So just do a little bit every day. Do something. Be curious. No.
Gennye, listen, this has been a brilliant conversation. It's gone a completely different tangent to what I was expecting, but it's been fabulous.
Sorry.
No, please, no, don't apologize. I'm just saying it's gone on a different tangent, but it's been great. Thank you so much for your time. Listen, I'll post all the links in the show notes, and when I promote it everywhere, you'll be able to find Gennye really simply. Yeah. So listen, thanks again for your time. It's been fabulous, a real pleasure. I'll speak to you very soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.